Good evening everyone, System Chalk here, and this is going to be the second of two videos about the Locksmith stream. In the previous video we talked about everything that's on the Locksmith stream website. There's one section here which I haven't really touched yet, which is the blog. There'll also be, I'll spend a little bit of time on Instagram, but it actually occurred to me that I don't have an Instagram account, and so it's probably going to want me to sign up at a point, and I'm actually really pressed for time for recording this video. So this here, it's going to be similar to the previous episode in the sense that I'm not necessarily going to be doing too much original work. I'll do my best to try and highlight some things that I think are interesting and maybe new to the game, but I'll maybe also highlight why I might feel a little less certain in terms of speaking with some sort of authority in terms of what's new to the secret histories and what may just be new to me. But in this case here, if you wanted to follow along, the real added value that I'm doing here really is just reading this out. So if you just happen to want to read this on your own, this would come from locksmithstream.com, and if you click on the blog section, you'll wind up here. And I'm going to read these in chronological order. So the first entry that we have here is on March the 23rd, 2022, by Ivan Carrick, who in the previous video we saw is one of the co-founders of Triscupid Limited, and certainly the one sort of responsible for making sure that the event sort of happens and happens successfully. And let's find out what's going on here. So, Trowan, home of the wheel locks. This post appears to be posted by Lottie, but isn't. We can't just put the man's actual name with it, without revealing him, and he's not ready to come out yet. Oh, this is interesting. So this probably was something that was released on the Weather Factory website. This is kind of neat. So who on earth are you? I'm an old friend of Alex from times before. I live in the UK, and I'm the person who is fortunate to be making the Locksmith stream happen and making sure that everyone who comes along has an amazing time, as well as some great stories to tell friends and families. If for some inexplicable reason you haven't heard of the Locksmith stream yet and don't know what I'm talking about, read about it here. So I think this will probably just show us, yeah, this is the Weather Factory site which we saw last time. What do we know so far? We announced the beta of the Locksmith stream is running in Monmouthshire, UK in October 2022, followed by the first full event in December. We talked about its location, ancient country seat Trowan, in our last newsletter. Only a few places have the same name in every history. The house called Trowan is one, and in every history the wheel locks have found their way here. One history has them born from it, and another... Sorry, let's try that again. Only a few places have had the same name in every history. The house called Trowan is one, and in every history the wheel locks have found their way there. One history has them born from it, another says they shaped it, but they always return. Trowan, in fated Monmouthshire, seat of the Wheellock family on the Welsh marches at England's edge, the border between myth and legend. Explore an untouched corner of the invisible world in the Suppression Bureau-sponsored foray into the bounds of the Mansis. Assume an identity of the house, seek snippets of the secret histories, trade birdsong with the curator, relax before an open fire in the Flint and Wheel pub, and decide whether or not to believe everything the inspector says. Think occult Downton Abbey, or a weekend invitation to your long-lost aristocratic aunt's stately home, when your aunt is also a witch. Or the sort of stopover the vagabond might book on her way to the fourth history, Atlas of Dreams, and a bottle of sherry in tow. We're running a beta event in October and our first full event in December 2022. Save the dates in your calendar. We'll announce ticket prices and more details soon. So these are a little bit less touched than the entries we've seen before, but we've certainly seen this spot before. These seem new. And then, what have you been doing then? I've been scouting for suitable venues, found a few likely candidates, but when we came across Trowan, which has such a magical, otherworldly quality, we all realized that it was the perfect place to run the Locksmith stream. Then, having to decide the date of the first event, it was only after this that I genuinely felt, right then and there, that this is actually happening. I'd better get on with it. The beta event will be running from October the 15th, which gives us a good 7 weeks to tweak and refine the Locksmith stream before December the 7th, which will be the first of 4 events in December. The other big thing I've been doing is getting a team together to create a wonderful experience for our guests. So that means looking for actors that can help bring the experience to life, as well as a chef with an interest in the obscure and the mundane who can help conjure up wonderful, comforting dishes, as well as things that will surprise and delight. Excitingly, I've just hired my first performer, hello Jade, who is brimming with enthusiasm and ideas, and so I'm looking forward to the next few months once we start fleshing out the experience. What exactly is going on? I wonder if this is a reference to In the Loop. Well, I'm usually sitting in my fancy shed in the garden. Occasionally a squirrel comes and gives me the eye while digging up the lawn outside my window, where the dog makes a huffing noise in his sleep. I'm surrounded by beautiful, often tentacled, framed horrors that keep appearing on my walls as gifts. In front of my keyboard, I've got 2 reminders what I'm up to. A pre-memento of the Locksmith's dream, or whatever the word is for a reminder of something that hasn't happened yet. And the other speaks for itself, an anti-inspirational card, which sometimes cheers me up, and is, as Alex once told me, words to live by. Behind me, I can feel Iris staring at me. Approvingly or not, I can't tell, but I'm certain she's conspiring with her tentacled neighbor on the wall. So what are you doing next? Apart from staring at the inspirational words and trying to avoid Iris's gaze, my main priority is getting the website up and running so people can actually book tickets, flesh out the team, hire a chef and more actors, trying to get a model of Trowan Manor House, as many ideas that lead to sleepless nights often start. Someone says, wouldn't it be cool if, insert slightly mad thing, in this case it was a scale replica of Trowan that the guests can peer into to see hints and clues. I'm spending far too much time looking into how and who can build this thing. I'm sure you've signed up for the mailing list. Make sure you've signed up to the mailing list to hear more about the Locksmith stream as soon as we announce things. So my guess here is that this is Ivan, and we just simply don't have that from the text. But it does does have his name attached to it. So moving on, Birdsong and Spintrea. Now, I'm particularly interested in this one because they've talked about trading Birdsong a couple of times, and of course, if you think about it, we've got Spintrea, which was sort of the first currency of the secret world in Cultist Simulator. And then the Exile DLC introduced another type of currency. In this case, you're trying to sort of convert years and decades. And now, in this case, we have Birdsong, which is going to be presumably something that can be traded. And of course, because this is an event that will be occurring in the real world, and Birdsong generally is not the sort of thing that one imagines holding in one's hand. I'm kind of curious to see what we can find out about this. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do these blogs in a separate entry, because for me, at the very least, I can talk about the things that seem to be new to me. And one of the reasons I wanted to highlight this is that I have not seen The Lady Afterwards. I haven't seen the box set of it. I also haven't seen the PDF. And so it may be that some of these concepts have in fact been introduced in Alexandria, and I'm just simply not aware of it. And of course, there's also the enigmas, which are something that I really have not made that much progress on. But moving along. Invisible Chess and Positive Moves. This post was originally posted by Ivan over on the Weather Factory blog. Hello all, after a few weeks away, I am slightly more tanned and salt-crusted and ready for my close-up. So, here goes. It is I. I suspect this very much dates me. Yeah, I have no idea what this is. Contrary to the gift above, my name is actually Ivan Carrick, and I will be your pilot, as well as tour guide and conceptual sommelier for the Locksmith's dream. Practically, this means that I will be shaping, building, and unleashing what we're confident will be a unique, delightful, and intriguing series of events all rooted in an unexplored part of the secret histories. As I mentioned in my first post, I come from the before times, and I'm an old friend and colleague of Alexis. I've been quietly working in the background on aspects of the Locksmith stream on and off for the last 6 months or so. It's strange to be back on my own in my fancy shed, where I do most of my work. It's eerily quiet, with only the most underappreciated member of the team for company. He does give high fives, though. Raising morale, literally a salty sea dog. That is a handsome dog. Designing the Locksmith's dream is like playing chess with an invisible opponent. Each move opens up new possibilities, which may themselves be traps. Each time I'm sure of a great play, the opponent of practicality puts new obstacles in the way. Can anyone identify this set? It may well be relevant come October. Oop, I'm curious. Invisible chat. Okay. I mean, it's birds. The excitement of fleshing out the world of the secret histories in a way that can be represented physically leads to rabbit holes which turn out to be sprawling warrens. Developing real objects which can be interacted with and that offer insights or clues is no easy feat, but a delightful challenge filled with moments of joy when an idea works. All this leads to say it is coming together. This month, we've engaged our chef and are starting to get excited about meals and special foods to entice you. We're refining the design and looking at the implications for props and artifacts. For example, I've been fiddling with prototypes for satisfyingly tactile coins and tokens for the guests, as well as looking to source exactly the right sort of lanterns for guest excursions around the grounds of Troan at night. Some very early prototypes. Actually, that's kind of neat to see the moth again, though. Progress. The last month, I have managed to find someone who will design a model of Troan that we can then actually build. That'll be a whole other fun bundle of problems to solve. Currently, the plan is to build an open model out of wood, like a doll's house, but without the cold, dead eyes, that will sit in the main staircase, and which will provide clues about objects and places that it might be interesting to explore. There are lots of fun ideas with lighting, tiny little props, furniture, and models that we'll be experimenting with. As I mentioned earlier, I've hired a fantastically talented chef, welcome Dominic, and over the next few months we'll be researching and exploring dishes to tantalize and delight. We'll be providing lunch, breakfast, and assorted delicious in-between treats to keep your strength up. With a 4-course dinner in the beautiful wood-paneled dining hall in front of a warming fire as the centerpiece. The food will be traditional British country house fare, and 1920s inspired, but with some secret histories flavored amuse-bouche. Sorry, I should have checked this word between episodes. Again, I am not a gourmand, and I have my arsenal of words that I use, but I will be willing to admit when I'm unfamiliar with terms, and this is certainly one of them. And entremets scattered throughout. We'll devote a blog post or two later in the year about this. The website is progressing nicely, and unless we cause serious offense to any gods in the intervening month, we are still on target to launch ticket sales at the end of the month. They will go on sale at 6 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. PDT on Tuesday, the 31st of May. Apologies to everybody who went out for that. I realize that is probably a very frustrating memory. Dates. A few people have asked for the exact dates of the Locksmith stream experiences this year to help them plan, so here they are. Beta, Saturday the 15th, Sunday the 16th of October, half-price tickets. Saturnalia midweek, Wednesday the 7th to Tuesday the 8th December. I will note, by the way, that the midweek entries are a little bit less expensive than the weekends, but I suspect probably if you're going to the Locksmith stream, the price difference isn't as significant. Well, in fairness, I'm not going to kind of communicate. I don't know your circumstances, but I'm willing to guess the price difference between the two is probably not enough to move you one way or the other. Although if you're coming from outside of the UK, my guess is that you will probably be able to find tickets a little bit cheaper for midweek rather than weekends. I'm not very well traveled though, so that's a guess. Saturnalia weekend, Sunday the 10th to Sunday the 11th of December. Yule midweek, Wednesday the 14th to Thursday the 15th of December. And Yule weekend, Saturday the 17th to Sunday the 18th of December, with a seasonal twist. There are only 22 tickets per event, so these might sell out quickly. You'll be able to purchase tickets for the beta event or any of the Saturnalia Yule events when the website launches at the end of May. What's next? Working to finish the Locksmith Stream website so you lovely people can book a spot. Finish hiring the actors we'll need to bring the Locksmith Stream to life. Although the Locksmith Stream isn't a theatrical performance as such, the actors will be playing discrete roles for the guests to interact with and provide helpful clues. And what is a common refrain now will provide more detail on their roles and how they will contribute to the experience. Make sure you're signed up to the mailing list to hear more about the Locksmith Stream as soon as we announce things. So another thing that's actually I've kind of failed to realize, I'm not 100% sure on the weather in the UK around this time of year, but I would certainly imagine that for December things are getting quite chilly, and so I definitely am noticing sort of references to the dinner, and particularly sort of the centerpiece of the fire, and I'm really starting to get these images of people who might be exploring the grounds sometimes in the chill, or again I have no idea if there would be snow on the ground or not, but kind of this idea of having been out and doing all these interesting things, and then you kind of come in and you're in you're in fire. I think I don't. Would the masks be during the dinner? Anyways, they're making references to masks, and I think you can see some photos of them in the Instagram and that. But there's really something interesting here, and I talked about this earlier in the previous video, which is that one of the things that I find so interesting about the physical products that Weather Factory is doing. It is so interesting how all of the senses really seem to be, touched by this, and like this seems really. I'm trying to come up with the right way of saying it. Like this almost seems like a very commonplace observation, but I don't buy a lot of plastic crap editions of games. So the last thing that I bought a physical copy of would be Civilization 6, because Civilization is just like a Civilization game could be released and everybody says that it's the worst game that has ever been created, and I'm almost still certainly going to buy it and try it for myself. So Civilization 6 was the 25th anniversary. I thought, why not get the collectible booklet and the coin? I was a little disappointed with the coins, but, it is what it is, right? But this is just it. Like, when you think of the common things that you will get in a physical edition of something, you will get a book which you can read, and that engages the imagination. And you can often get some sort of action figure, a collectible. But no, there's usually going to be some kind of assortment of, of some sort of model or molded plastic of some kind. And I think there was an edition of Blade Runner that I think kind of came in like a plastic briefcase, and I think it had a few items from the film as well. But I think by and large, like, these are things that you can touch, that you can hold. And, again, there's certainly, I'm fond of reading, so I'm always happy to get a book, particularly one that gives some details about the thing that I've bought. But it does feel like there are a lot more opportunities. Like, there are more senses to be engaged, right? You've got your sense of touch, and you've got your sense of sight. But the rest are kind of neglected in a lot of these sorts of things. And I mean, let's be honest, there are some very expensive collector's editions of things that, I'm not going to say that they're not worth it or that they're not rewarding to own. And yet, I'm really trying to think of other games which have so effectively handled some of the other senses. So when you think of The Lady Afterwards, and it comes with candles, and the associations made between scent and memory. I think originally I might have picked some of this up from Nietzsche actually, but it turns out that Gogol also had apparently a great interest in noses. This is definitely one of the underrated one, again, because of the association of scent and memory. Because again, when you think of these kinds of experiences that are being brought together, actually, is there tea that comes with the Locksmith, or not the Locksmith, the Lady Afterwards as well? I can't remember. But, again, like, you're doing something special with friends. It's a memory. It's an evening of it. And I think this is one of the things that maybe gets missed when people are just simply looking at the PDF of the product. And so in the sense of the Locksmith stream, right, you are already just seeing through these descriptions, right? You're in a place, you're going through the house, maybe outside, you're interacting with people, you're hearing things, you're in a place, so obviously that's going to engage all the senses, but there is a lot of mention of the menu and the chef. And so in this case here, we have, the sense of taste brought in. And I might be making more of a big deal of this than I need to, but it is very interesting, right, that this unique game, again, something that's originally a video game, admittedly a very unique one, but that they're not just sort of creeping into the real world, but they're doing a much better job of creating this sort of special world across lots of different types of sensory experience. And there's just something kind of exciting and interesting about that. So we'll see, though. I mean, again, it'd be kind of interesting to see whether or not people bring these sorts of things up. Hang on, did I completely skipped Birdsong and Spitray. Okay. So we covered invisible chess and positive moves. Let's go back to Birdsong and Spintrea. As I said, this is going to be one of the things that I'm most interested in because I haven't heard about Birdsong yet. The mysterious man who is running the Locksmith... this post was originally posted by Lottie over on the Weather Factory blog. The mysterious man who's running the Locksmith stream is selfishly on holiday with his children. So it's really Lottie talking to you this time. I wanted to share a bunch more information about our live events coming up in Monmouthshire, UK later on this year. So hope you're sitting comfortably. Seems to be a long one. What you'll do. What on earth is it? We've talked about the Locksmith's Dream as a series of live, invitation-only overnight events. But what you actually do during your esoteric weekend in Wales? The experience triangulates somewhere between a high-end murder mystery, but nobody dies and you don't have to act, D&D in a castle, but we're not a LARP, and Occult Downton Abbey, without, sadly, Maggie Smith. It's a cross between a luxury weekend holiday and a scavenger hunt. You'll arrive to find your welcome pack in your chosen room, providing you with instructions, backstory, a badge and a mask, a personal journal, and possibly some hidden things to find. Then you'll make your way downstairs to probably the Wheel and Flint pub to meet your fellow seekers. The genial bartender and his excellent refreshments, and the inspector from the Suppression Bureau, who will give you the lay of the land. It's up to you how you spend your time from here, seeking out snippets of birdsong, outwitting a puzzle box discovered in the oak chamber, braving the fading light outside to find secret things on the edge of the wood, or piecing together scraps of triptychs with your fellows, figuring out the location of a secret piece of lore. Our mysterious man is quite the gourmet, so dinner will be opulent and excellent, prepared specifically by the unflappable cook. When night falls and the open fire crackles in the halls, you'll wear your masks, become part of the locksmith's pageant, and find the deepest secrets buried in the darkest places of the house. Where you'll stay. My imagination's running riot. Trewin is a 17th century Grade 1 listed manor house in the bosky hinterlands between England and Wales. It's 4 stories of oak paneling, ancient staircases, and one secret priest's hole that's really hard to find. The Locksmith's Dream takes place in all of it. Well, as almost certainly the extensive grounds around the houses, including fields, lakes, forests, and sometimes little fluffy sheep. But the bit that matters the most to people buying tickets are the individual unique rooms across 3 floors, all of which come with their own character for you to roleplay as much or as little as you like during the event. So here they are. Please note, all prices are for the whole weekend experience and include your room, food, drink, and welcome packs, etc. Details below may change over the next 6 months as the project progresses. We reserve the right to take backsies. So we've covered some of this before. I won't go too far past it, but I don't think that much has changed. Let me know if anything isn't clear in the comments. It's difficult to show such a meandering, beautiful house as Trewin in the floor plans above, alone, but it'll make sense once you visited. How much it costs? Oh good, let's talk about money. You can see the usual ticket prices included in the floor plans above. This is how much tickets for the Locksmith Dream will cost in December 2022 when we run our first full live event. But we're also running a beta in October 2022 to make sure everything works in real life as we hope it does on paper. Narrator, it won't. As such, we're able to offer a low flat rate for all beta tickets, as you are helping us make the Locksmith Dream excellent. The beta will be as much like the real thing as we can make it. It might just be a little rough around the edges. For the first year, the Locksmith Dream is a loss-making experiment. If it works, we'll run a much larger number of events next year. But for now, we'll have to see how it goes. So here are the full ticket options. I read this blog before. I completely forgot this is actually making a loss. So Eminent tier from 765, Exalted tier from 680, Honored tier from 510, and Cabal tier from 510. As always, please check the website for the actual prices of things. You know, you don't want to use an old blog post to to make the decisions, and $4.50 for everything in the old for the beta. Please note again that these prices are per person and cover your whole Locksmith's Dream experience. You'll almost certainly be able to add on a night for a small extra cost if you'd like, and Monmouthshire is well worth spending time in as it's totally beautiful and the land of green and pleasant hills, pubs, windy roads, dragons, etc. Tickets go on sale at the end of the month when the Locksmith's Dream website launches. For now, you'll have more photos. Have some more photos to give you a flavor of the house. Hope to see you there. One thing I will say for the prices, like looking at the per it's very interesting to see how the perception of the cost changes when it goes between the room to the individual. But one of the things I do know, I am genuinely curious to see how the change in the British pound is going to affect demand for this, because to a certain extent, it's appealing to, be in the UK and then just have to sort of travel within your own country. But on the other side, you can sort of see how if you are, I'm in North America, so, the idea of crossing the Atlantic to be able to experience something like this, the change in the currency makes this maybe compared to all the other options that I have. There's still the plane ticket, which will be denominated in my in dollars for me, but obviously the event itself is lower. But the other thing, I like to say that these events discriminate against the lonely. I don't think I have anybody I'd bring, so I'd be getting them book for myself. So we didn't learn anything really about Birdsong or Spintrea. I think this was about what's it gonna cost. So let's move on to Expect the Expected. I'll try to move along because I think Meet the Sponsors might be one of the ones that's of interest to people, but we'll do our best. Okay, Expect the Expected. This post was originally posted by Lottie over on the Weather Factory blog. We have lots of things coming up in the near future, and some of our release dates have changed a bit, so I just wanted to update you all on exactly when you can expect things to go live. Calendars are ready. Next month is calendars at the ready. Next month is pretty hype. Tuesday, the 31st of May, 2022. This is beloved Cultist Sim's official anniversary, so we are launching our final round of luxury Lady Afterwards boxes. They go live at 6 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. PDT on our Etsy shop. To avoid them selling out immediately, we will release 50 boxes every Tuesday at 6 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. PDT, so people have multiple chances to get their hands on one. Hopefully, we'll scale up to 100 boxes every Monday, but this depends on my mum, who will be boxing and sending them all. She's currently threatening to unionize, but Jin will probably make her more amenable. If you'd like to know what's inside, read more about our Lady Afterwards boxes here. Now, I want to read more about this because I was talking about sort of the senses, and I'm kind of curious, but how about I just leave that for myself and all of you can enjoy the actual blog post. Monday, the 6th of June, 2022. For reasons that will become clear on the day, we are also releasing some major things the following week. In particular, the Locksmith Dream tickets go on sale, and we release the first of our Secret Histories boxes series. So these are the boxes I was referring to before. This month focused on the Grave of Green Immortals. The Locksmith Dream tickets will have their own dedicated site, and you can purchase tickets for our beta event in October and/or the full events in December. We have a bunch of gorgeous photos of the rooms, house, and grounds, as well as further details on food timings and how it all works. Tickets will launch at 6 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. PDT on Monday, the 6th of June, 2022. Watch this website, our mailing list, or any of our socials for a ping when it's live. So we did see this photo before. We're also releasing our first Secret Histories box, the super limited edition monthly librarian's chests containing letters, lore, clues, and some old friends from Cultist Sim. Our first box focuses on the Grove of Green Immortals, so those of you who are interested in horticulture, medicine, moth, and heart, or those of you wishing to make a nice apple bright should probably take note. Here's what our boxes look like at the moment, though they're missing some key components. So these definitely look quite handsome. The letters are also kind of interesting too, but I don't know as much about these as I know about some of the other projects. I think these are my favorite physical boxes I've made to date, so I hope you love them too. They'll drop at the same time as Locksmith Stream tickets at 6 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. PDT on our Etsy shop. There are only 25 Grove boxes, but if you miss out, don't worry. We'll release another 25 boxes next month, this time focused on Crossrow, the jazzy library beloved by the Vagabond. I'm also sharing some Book of Hours updates and lore as a little celebratory sweetener. Buckle up, believer. We've got some exciting stuff on the horizon, and the horizon is near. So this is only partly related to Locksmith Stream, but that's fine. Okay, Locksmith Stream tickets available now. I'm going to try and run through the ones that maybe aren't giving us new information a little more quickly, but if you are waiting for it, I definitely recommend hanging on for the sponsors, or reading the sponsors yourself, because I do know there's some new information on that. Okay, Locksmith Stream tickets available now. This post was originally posted by Lottie over on the Weather Factory blog. Secret gods live beneath the skin of the world. 5 of them meet every year to exchange secrets and agree particular notes of history. Their conversations aren't for our ears, but even after they're gone, their gossip still troubles the earth. The air still prickles with doors. Locksmith Dream tickets are available now. Give me them tickets. Each year, the Avian Hours, that's the Beach Crow, the Witch and Sister. I was actually going to say, I wonder what 5 discuss, and it's said right here. Each year, the Avian Hours, that's the Beach Crow, the Witch and Sister, the Elegist, the Vagabond, and the little-known name of the Moth, Pharisref, meet to discuss the topics of the gods. Afterwards, mortals attend the roosting hall to pick through the abandoned tidbits of secret knowledge. This is what we're calling the Locksmith's Dream, and invite you to pick through the snippets of the gods this October and December with us. Yvonne has done a wonderful job of setting up the official site, where there's bag loads of photos, info, and you can see all the properly beautiful rooms you can stay in. It's also where you can actually book tickets, so go forth and enjoy. If you can make it, see you there. Secret History boxes, Grove of Green Immortals. As you know from my blog post last week, our first Secret Historian boxes are now also available in the merch shop. Interesting. There are only 25 of them available, so nab yours quick, or wait until next month's box comes out, which will be all about Crossrow. Your only 2 options. Show me the box. Book of Hours updates. We're not ready to share a vertical slice of the game yet, but here are some updates. We finalized the design of the Wisdom page, the occult sort of skill tree that you can choose, where you can choose which forbidden knowledge to specialize in, and which affects what you can do elsewhere in the game based on your choices. We've hidden the full size of the chart, but you can see the first 4 levels here. I'm going to sort of skip over this reasonably quickly because it's not related to the Locksmith Stream. Well, not directly. Players choose cards or objects to commit to each slot up the chain, pledging allegiance, for example, to Birdsong by... Oh, okay, now I need to... by committing a skill card for Ramsund, the Language of Secrets. There it is. This will enhance the player's Birdsong affinity and ability, opening up new opportunities elsewhere and unlocking the next tier of the branch. We hope it's also a nice role-playing opportunity, as you can see that each of the 9 wisdoms is variously associated with several principles from Cultist Simulator. People have strong feelings about whether they're a wintry sort who wants a beautiful end, or a lanterny type who's brilliant but a bit caustic, or a forge person who really loves hitting things with hammers. The wisdoms are deliberately broader, drawing from multiple principles at once, so they should open up new avenues of characterization, which is useful in an RPG. Speaking of the wisdoms, we've uncovered a new letter from a mysterious Arthur to his nephew, discussing the Illumination-affiliated events that took place in a Pyrrhic battle against the Kusagai of Persia, and the bravery and unmasking of Lieutenant Malcolmson. Most importantly, though, weep for Menander, the bravest steed that ever was. Nephew, make a fist of your hand. Muscles move beneath the skin, so powers move beneath the skin of the world at impulses equally invisible, but greater. Click here for alternative read-friendly text. Finally, we also have a mock-up of Hush House's layout to share. Please note that this is not what the game will actually look like, though isn't it all nice and neat in a grid? but it's likely to represent the layout of the rooms in the final game. We've censored some of the more deep lore rooms, and you can't see all of it, but here's a first glimpse at the library at the center of it all. And again, I'm going to leave this for conversations, or I'm going to leave this for other material. If you like what you see, please wishlist Book of Hours to keep updated with our progress. More on that in the next few months. Cultist Simulator's birthday. It's Cultist's anniversary, so we're running a midweek madness sale on Steam throughout this week. You can get everything Cultist Simmy for basically a dust and a broken halfpenny. 50 to 66% off everything, to be exact. So that's Cultist Simulator, the Dancer, Priest, Ghoul, and Exile DLC, 50% off. Cultist Simulator OST, 50% off. Anthology Edition bundle, which includes all of the above at 65 off-ish. Bundle Mass is hard. And the Lady Afterwards Digital Edition, 50% off. Enjoy! The indomitable Canadian sensation that is System Shock, probably long now at least, is broadcasting Cultist on the Steam store page for anyone who'd like to see the game being wrestled to its knees while a soothing voiceover describes the inevitable descent into penury madness and occult calamity. And finally, we're restocking the Lady Afterwards box edition on the Etsy stop tomorrow at noon BST. We'll restock the boxes every Tuesday, alternating between noon BST and 6 p.m. BST to facilitate different international buyers. Be there. The box is really great, I promise. Happy birthday to Iris, the Mantis, all the histories, and most importantly to Cultist Sim, the little game that could. Celebrate in your favorite way for us, believers. We couldn't have done it without you. We're off to desperately refresh the Locksmith stream backend to see how many people are buying tickets and play a bunch of V Rising to chill out. Toodle pip. I did not realize that the Canadian sensation comment was there, but I'm super happy. I think this was the one that we just read? Yeah. Okay, meet the sponsors. This one was from July the 22nd. Meet the sponsors. Happy Friday, everyone. Our Crossrow box went live last night, and there are only 6 left, so get yours now if you want one. In the meantime, I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk a bit more about some of the other physical merch, sometimes also involving libraries, in another context, the Locksmith's Dream. Our recent newsletter survey showed us that we should totally share more detail about what you actually do in this upcoming cultist-adjacent real-world weekend break full of puzzles, lore, and cocktails. No idea why some of you wouldn't want to know what happens in it. How could we be more coherent? Here is a mood board to show you very clearly just exactly what this impossible to describe new event and experience is. Weirdly, quite a lot of chess. Cultist Sim world plus hours, aristocratic 1920s stuff and a lovely posh house, AK's lore, puzzles a bit like the Crystal Maze but you can do them in a dress, introvert-friendly nooks and books, delicious food because Ivan is a gourmet, did I mention the books, and beautiful people like you having a great time with cocktails. My apologies, I also forgot the standalone puzzles. Here's another mood board of what the Locksmith stream isn't. A LARP, a weird dress-up thing, or a TRPG. By the Lady Afterwards for that. My work here is done. Okay. More usefully, I've been working with Ivan, the guy in charge of the Locksmith stream, to design enamel pin badges for each of the sponsors of the event. So what exactly are sponsors? Why should you care about them? And how come they all get jazzy little pins? All these questions answered below, and then you get a cat. The premise of the Locksmith stream is that 5 hours meet each year to exchange secrets and agree particular notes of history. After their meeting, snippets of their highly occult and super rare conversations are left in their wake, in what we're calling snippets of birdsong. As you might expect, there are numerous institutions interested in what any hour might have to say about anything, particularly at an annual meeting of great renown. Some of those institutions care enough to sponsor people to pick over the location of those meetings once the hours have departed. These after events are called a counterparty, among other things. That's what you're doing at the Locksmith's Dream, a sponsored attendee of an occult counterparty tasked with gathering as many snippets of lore as you can for your sponsor. Your sponsor is decided by which room you're staying in and your corresponding character for the duration of your stay. You'll get a badge to wear to notify others of your affiliation. As noted in Scientific Figure 2 above, you don't have to act or pretend to be that character. It's just a role that you take on when you enter this demi-real counterparty in the bounds. And because this is all rich secret histories lore, things are never as simple as they appear. You might discover things about your sponsor that make you switch sides to their enemy. Or you might find out that they intend to do something totally excellent with the lore that you bring back for them, and work extra hard to gather as much birdsong for them as possible. All of which leads us smoothly to the question of who the sponsors actually are. Well, here you go. For those of you, again, I apologize to do an interaction thing here. I would actually genuinely be interested as to which of these sponsors you're most interested in, because I actually have some fairly strong opinions on this. The Lighthouse Institute, preserving the order of things, with current hours at the top and humanity safely at the bottom. Not quite an esoteric order, not quite a think tank. Lighthouse was established after World War II by the notorious Aaron Peel to keep humankind from the rocks of endless night. That is to ensure the invisible world stays in balance, and that people don't get inhabited by worms, eaten by fallen immortals, cursed by curses, etc. Lighthouse is the most benign, but arguably the least effective of the sponsors. They're better at policy documents than they are at exorcisms. Solid research and safety protocols, though. The Austorium. What do you get if you cross an excommunicated Catholic friar with a renegade Incan magician? A religious foundation with a mission to preserve all that which would not otherwise be preserved, and a commitment to interfaith symbiosis. Or, if you listen to church authorities, a depository of blasphemies committed to mongrel heresies. Austorium provides a welcome home to renegade clergy from Christian and other backgrounds who've developed too keen of an interest in dangerous knowledge. To their credit, very little of that knowledge ever leaves the Austorium archives. The Kerishim Review. So far as I can tell, while there are characters that are referenced that we know of here, these I don't think appear in Cultist Simulator. Clearly the Kerishim Review does. Kerishim is a British coastal town whose physical reality is occasionally disputed. In the 1920s, the Review could reasonably be described as a literary magazine for those with specialized tastes. The world moved on, the Review moved on with it, and it is sometimes now described as an occult tabloid. This is wildly unfair, because, if only because it can boast nothing like the circulation of even the feeblest actual tabloid. It also, now and then, publishes real investigative journalism from reckless contributors willing to risk being arrested or devoured. Another familiar face or place, Oriflamme's, an auction house specializing in curios, perfumes, taxidermies, rare texts, and secrets. Oriflamme's may be the last auction house in the world with no online presence at all. Don't talk to them about NFTs. Incidentally, there is something kind of interesting about the idea of Oriflamme's showing up. Kind of this almost mercenary reason for being there. I'm sure there's others that have similar reasons, but the Endeavor Club. Smiths, technologists, alchemists, patriot. The Endeavor Club has a reputation for snobbery, largely because so many of their members are snobs. Of all the sponsors, they're the oldest and most traditional. Ironic, really, that they've changed so often over the centuries. From their birth as a martial order in the fires of the War of the Rhodes, to their time as a gentleman's occult lodge, to the conspiracies of empire, to their current laudable funding for education and research initiatives, their only constants are their bravery, their determination, and their ingenuity, and their snobbery. Please note, for the sake of my artistic pride, that all of these are mock-ups and of the final badges, which will all be perfect and trim. They're in production as I write, so we'll share the finished photos when we have them, but hopefully the above makes it slightly clearer what sort of stories you can write for yourselves in the Locksmith streams. More info, photos, and lore as the project comes together, or you can rifle through the official Locksmith Stream website for further info and images. In the meantime, as promised, cat. Okay, so 2 more blog posts, and then we'll take a really quick run through the Instagram, because I'd like to. This is already later than what a normal video would be, but if we can at least keep it to the length of part 1, I'll feel better about that. 3 things. It's been a hectic month or so, with Locksmith Stream production really ramping up over the last few weeks. Lots and lots of exciting packages are arriving and causing considerable agitation for my dog Grom. Puzzles are being written, and the Grand Bird Song, more of those in a later post, journeys are developing nicely. I thought I'd give you all a bit of a look at 3 of the things that we're particularly excited about at the moment. The Model House, aka the Creepy Doll's House. This is something I've been particularly desperate to do for months. I had always hoped to have a scale model of Troan made that the guests could use to help navigate the house and uncover its secrets. Finding someone to design, never mind build the model, has proven challenging, but I finally have managed to find someone. Take a bow, Sam, who will take this. I am not able to make that larger, and turn it into this. Then, after a few MacGyver minutes, into a fully realized wooden house. Well, that's the plan anyway. I'll post more updates as Sam sends more pictures of the progress. Masks, your face in the House of the Moon. One of the magical elements of the Locksmith's dream will be when the guests enter the House of the Moon. Troan is a house with one stair in the waking world, the House of the Sun, and another in dreams, the House of the Moon. After a sumptuous banquet in the oak-clad dining room in front of the crackling fire, the guests will be invited to retire to their rooms. In the rooms, they will find their masks for the night. These masks are masks specific to the room and its inhabitant. The guests will put on the face that they will wear in the House of the Moon before stepping out to see what mysteries await them in the candlelit halls. Oh, that's a good music switch to the candlelit halls. The journal, your Locksmith's Dream Guide. An important part of the Locksmith's Dream experience will be the beautiful journal that each guest will get. It's a guide, clue book, scrapbook, notebook, and memento of their journey. I'm working with a fantastically talented bookbinder, Nathan, who has not only been creating some stunning prototypes, but also sharing the process, which is fantastically interesting. Each book will be handmade, stitched, and bound by Nathan at his workshop in Toddington. The pictures above are prototypes, which we'll be finalizing in the next couple of weeks. Other stuff, finding a fellow cultist. Some of you have gotten into contact to ask if we can help find people share a room with for the experience. To help people struggling to find a fellow cultist, we've set up a simple Facebook group here. I could go on, but that's it for now. I'm intending to post more regularly about various parts of the project as they come up. Let me know if there's anything in particular you'd be interested in hearing about, and I'll see what I can do. Dream carefully, Yvonne. Now, this is interesting. So I hadn't really known about this, but I joke about discriminating against the lonely. But I suppose I could put it to you this way: if this is something that you were interested in, and perhaps you couldn't find someone else to go with, I actually would strongly recommend checking out this blog. I don't know if there's another way to find it, but this was the 3 Things entry. So currently the second most recent. So, 4 weeks to go, September 21st, 2022, the most recent entry in the Locksmith's Dream blog. 4 weeks to go. It's a hive of activity here with less than 4 weeks to go until the beta event. Everything is finally starting to come together. The journals are with Nathan the bookbinder, who's hard at work hand-stitching and doing all the mysterious things that bookbinders do. Letters, notes, and other documents are flying off the printers at speed. The soundscapes have been put together, and the last various props are arriving daily by post, much to the consternation of an indignant Grom who feels that he should be guarding the front door from such intrusions. Progress on the model house. The design of the Troan model is coming along nicely too. It's going to be nearly a meter long when it's finished. Here are a few progress pictures that the talented Sam has been sending me. There's some fantastic detail on the portico, especially with the tiny wheel-lock crest above the front door. Here it is assembled in its full glory, but with a temporary roof, as well as the most adorable tiny model of Troan that she made because she needed a break from cutting the complicated roof. Soundscapes. What's that noise? As well as the visual impact of the amazing house, the views, and the interesting objects in it, I wanted to make other senses... Okay, interesting. So this is something... I like it when observations I've made line up with how people are actually describing the event. It means that we're sort of on the right track here. As well as the visual impact of the amazing house, the views, and the interesting objects in it, I wanted to make other senses as part of the experience. Multimedia and multisensory are much used and abused terms, but all the senses will have a part to play in the Locksmith's Dream experience. Each of the main public areas has its own specially curated soundscape, created by the very talented Ben Reed. These have been carefully chosen for the attributes that the rooms have. So, for example, the Beach Gallery is the haunt of the curator and is filled with beautiful but cold piano music. The Flint and Wheel, by contrast, has a more speakeasy vibe to it, a fitting backdrop to some of the gorgeous cocktails the chef has mixed up. In the evening, during the second act in the House of the Moon, these will subtly change. aside from the odd unsubtle intervention from the Suppression Bureau. But these stronger cues as to some of the aspects present, and maybe answer questions such as, what does the Grail actually sound like? That's it for now. I'll try and post another update again next week. We still have some tickets available for some events in December. Don't forget, if you're struggling to find a fellow cultist, and we've set up a simple Facebook group to help you find each other here. So, just a reminder before we go on to the Instagram page, for Saturnalia midweek, this is basically the first full event. So if you want to be one of the first people for like the real experience, one room left there. Saturnalia weekend seems to be open, so if you had a particular room in mind, that's going to be your best bet for where the... that's probably going to be your best bet in terms of figuring out, getting your perfect custom weekend. Yule midweek, 14th to 15th in December. So Eminence and Honored tiers have sold out, and so again, if you're looking to get Eminence for whatever reason you can't make it the Saturnalia midweek or weekend, you will have more options on the Yule weekend, and you can again book your stay. It'll give you all the details on the Locksmith stream page. So let's just take a quick second here. We'll open up Facebook, open up Twitter, open up Instagram. I do kind of wonder if there's going to be a lot to do. Okay, so this is sort of similar. Okay, these I was going to highlight on Instagram, but let's see if we can... Oh man, I didn't realize there was a Twitter account. I should have been following this. Well, yeah, I hate that sites are doing this now. So if we click on this, yeah, it's going to want us to see. Now, I will note, by the way, that... So first of all, I did not realize that there was a Twitter account, and I spend quite a bit of time on Twitter. So perhaps some of you will find this equally interesting. I will note that there's actually not a lot of engagement on the Locksmith stream site, and there's clearly material here for us to look at. Like, look at this. Look at these maps. I should maybe be a little more careful gathering through. So... I noticed a little edge sign here on one of the clocks. Lots of masked people. Here are the pins that were referred to before. We've seen this before. I don't know if this is the puzzle box. It feels like this was just some of the paneling. This is the famous staircase that was referred to before. We'll see how far we can go through Instagram and just admire the images. All right, that was it. All right, so let's see what we've got here. The mask you are looking for, the key that unlocks the grand puzzle. Can you find the answer to this and other mysteries in the Locksmith stream? Locksmith Stream is a series of mystery overnight events set in an occult 1920s world and running in a 17th century manor house. Find out more at... Even the clocks lie at night. When did the tragic events really happen? Can you find the answer to this and other mysteries in the Locksmith Stream? A grand performance with a magpie guest. Was he invited? Can you find the answer to this and other mysteries in the Locksmith Stream? The opera singer was the toast of the ball, but what happened to her? I'll leave the rest of the copy. What did the squire of the house why did the squire of the house poison one of his guests? Welcome to Trowen. We have a saying at the Institute. Rocks get no sharper in the dark. Alright, you're in, and you're going to bloody love Trowen. Just don't forget what you're in for. And don't forget it's not safe. Sweetie, well done. The Karashim Review is officially your sponsor. Trowen is always charming, but you should find time to relax in between chasing birdsong. But don't forget why you're here. Dear honorary member, I am delighted to offer you a warm welcome to the Heritage Threshold Sponsorship Program. I very much hope that you enjoy your time in Trowen, the jewel of the marches. Dear associate, this letter is formal confirmation that you may consider yourself sponsored by the Hostorium to enter and explore Trowen in the Roost's aftermath. key must have a lock, but where can it be found? What is the music of the hours? Well, apparently it's not what we're listening to. A new guest arrives, but what are their intentions? Alright, so these are the events. I don't know. Oh, nope, there's more here. The guests are gathering for the Embassy of Night. Will you join them? Solve the mystery of Wheelocks, follow the clues, learn the secret histories of the house. Do the masks hide or reveal, protect or harm? The plainest of books can hide the secret touch of the hours. Always in pairs, because like attracts like, or do they need to keep an eye on the other? None leave unchanged, they told me. Certainly that was my experience. Perhaps that is why these brave souls sought to leave their mark in return. Oh, that's neat. I didn't realize, I don't think I'd seen this image before. To reach the summit, one must climb, that much is clear, but the way is beset with distractions and curiosities in such profusion. Being what they are, the wooden walls certainly can talk if encouraged to in the right way. The Suppression Bureau, though, frowns on such congress. The room and the bed was all they said it would be, but the dreams, oh, the dreams, those they did not mention. The house can provide many things, comfort and ease certainly, shelter and warmth from the elements likewise. Questions, of course, and perhaps some answers. Not unexpectedly, time in Caer Adar runs differently than in Trowen. The Moon Hall exacts its price, even from time. There are secrets on the walls as much as within them, patterns and colors whose meaning can be perhaps be approached when moon-kissed. Warp and weft, blood and brick, where does the house end and the staff begin? The apotropaic marks, sorry, I gotta look that up, on the beams are as clear today as the day they were burned into the timbers by the architects. The fact that the house is still here is a testament to their efficacy. An otter? Here? Is it a trap? I was warned. But whatever is that fiendish Dr. Otter up to? Choose your title, choose your room, choose your sponsor. A well-appointed house indeed, an invitation that surely must be accepted? The Incardinine stair is narrow and winding. It was said once to lead to the Moon Hall. One must be careful to ascend at the right time, or at least not the wrong time. Uncover secret pasts, unlock mysteries, explore the grounds, dine in oak-clad halls, swap secrets with strangers, and, as night falls, don your unique mask for the occasion. There are stories told of the wassail brewed from the fruit of the Trowan orchard and the dreams that came after. Locksmith dream, okay, we've got that. The Wheelock architects were well known for their eccentricities. Of course, the official drawings do not match their secret designs, with the Moon Hall nowhere to be seen. The Moon Dial. How does one even begin to read such a device? Perhaps this is where the time that the Moon Hall tithes goes. Locksmith Dream website's back up. Tickets now available. The Wheelock family's greatest work, the Winding Stair, is a backway to the Mansus that can be ascended almost to the Concursum. That is how and why the Aviform hours meet there. Wheelocks are brick makers and architects and adepts. They've marked bricks with Ramson so that when Trowan sleeps, the bricks give rise to dreaming selves, and a house rises in the bounds. Venture into the night between sunset and midnight. You're dreaming. Return to your room and don your mask. The servitors of the house will find and convey you to the evening's events. Only few places have the same name in every history. The house called Trowan is one, and in every history the Wheelocks have found their way there. Afterwards, mortals pick through abandoned tidbits of secret knowledge. These events have been called counterparties. They've been called synergies. They've been called embassies of night. The places secret gods meet are called Caer Adar, or Mantic Utair, or Roosting Hall. They're always a border house. They're always a border house with one stair in the waking world and one in dreams. Secret gods live beneath the skin of the world. 5 meet every year to agree particular notes in history. Afterwards, their gossip still troubles the earth. The air still prickles with doors. And I think that would be the end. So what do we know by the end of this? We've got some sponsors that we're familiar with, Karashim Review and Oriflammes. There seem to be 3 new entities in the in the world of the secret histories. At least the ones that I can. So maybe the Austorium, the Endeavor Club, and the Lighthouse are perhaps perhaps they're ones that I'm not just immediately remembering. It is interesting when they sort of talk about a Suppression Bureau sanctioned event, which I think will be interesting. And there's lots of tantalizing glimpses, so I'm curious whether or not, having seen these images, some of these will be indicators of things that you may want to check out when you arrive there. But man, I am probably by far the most curious what on earth is going to happen when the lights go out. That definitely seems like a pretty potent event. So this is kind of the end of the journey, and I mean it has been an hour, so I maybe will keep my speculations limited. I mean I'm intrigued. I don't know. Maybe if you are going to this thing, feel free to maybe mention mention in a comment. I'm going to assume that probably if you're involved with the beta, by the time this thing comes online, you're probably already at the event. But I don't know. I'd love to know. Has anybody gotten a ticket? Is anybody planning on getting a ticket? What would be the thing to push you over the edge, one way or the other? What do you think this thing is about? Is there something that I've missed? And then I guess maybe for those of you that are maybe not going but want to engage in maybe just a little flight to fancy. What's the sponsor that speaks the most to you? What's the room that you would pick if you could go to this? This is the sort of stuff I'm kind of curious with, because I definitely have a very clear idea what speaks the most to me as an individual. And there's actually 2 of them, and they're 2 probably very different ones, I suspect. But maybe that's a conversation for a later time. I'm going to leave it here. I definitely think this is interesting. I'm hoping that there's at least some kind of report on how this thing turned out, because the how do I put it? There's something about a time limit. So I can kind of see the idea of getting the bird song. So now we know the bird song are the rumor, the details, the information that you're supposed to collect. And there's something very interesting about the fact that there does actually seem to be a collection element. There is an objective. And yet, I don't get the impression that this is about running all over the place and like trying to pick everything up. I actually kind of feel like this is more about just being present and, you know, experiencing something. And I'm really curious how that division works. I actually kind of have, I sort of have like a friend, and she and I kind of are in agreement in terms of vacations, where the best way to vacation is a rigidly like defined and adhered to schedule. Because if you leave any ambiguity, if you leave things open, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? You're not going to do anything. You're going to admire the hotel walls, and you're going to do stuff that you could have done at home on your own. But the Locksmith stream kind of seems to be that, in the sense that, there's a finite amount of time there and that there are certain things to do, but you are also, like, it seems like you're just sort of given a thread to pull on. And maybe you get stuck. And it definitely says, just spend some time in the pub, And I don't know, like, it's interesting. Like, it's definitely, I don't know, having sat down and read all of these blogs, it's kind of hard for me to say that there isn't information about this thing. And yet, clearly so much is up in the air, and we're going to have to kind of wonder what the experience is. So, anyways, until next time, I will probably not do another Locksmith stream post, at least not another post like this. Maybe until there's new information that comes up. I probably won't do like a big deep dive, let's say, like this. I think as new information comes in, I'll maybe refer to something, like a blog entry when it comes up or that. But I will try and be back for a big set of, I'll try to like have a big proper set of Cultist Simulator videos as soon as I've got my life sort of put back together again. And until then, I hope you take care, have a good evening, or very good morning for me, and we'll see you in the next video.